Last year, we had a massive debate. Who will be drafted first overall, Hughes or Kakko? And this debate was so fiery is one of the discussions that kickstarted my entire channel. As we had Jack Hughes, who's considered to be not ready for the NHL, but had the most quote-unquote potential. And of course Kakko, who was dominating in a league of men. In this season, both have not lived up to expectations. As Jack Hughes' 21 points is one of the worst rookie seasons by first overall pick in history, and Kakko is statistically having one of the worst seasons in the entire NHL. But that being said, they are both still regarded to be potential stars at the NHL level, which really sparks a discussion about development. Because in some cases, an NHL prospect needs a couple extra years of development, but ends up being a star. And some players provide that immediate impact, but never reach the next level. So today's video, we're gonna go over 5 players who looked like massive busts, but ended up proving everyone wrong. And this is part 2, so go check out part 1 after this video if you haven't seen it already. The link will be down below. And has your team ever had that type of player, maybe took a couple years of extra development, but ended up being a star? Let me know in the comments down below. Press subscribe for some more awesome content. Let's get straight into this video. We'll start with Valeri Nichushkin. As Valeri Nichushkin was quite literally a massive bust. Drafted 10th overall in 2013, Valeri was a massive wildcard, as he had the tool set to be the next Evgeny Malkin, but was receiving a lot of mixed opinions from scouts. But with his large frame, Nichushkin would make the opening night roster and put up a very respectable 14 goals, 34 points in his rookie season. However, in his sophomore season, Nichushkin would decide to have a season-ending hip surgery, and he'd only play 4 games this entire season. So finally, in 2015, Nichushkin would return to full-time action. But we'd see some pretty big regression, as he just didn't look like the same player and would only put up 9 goals and 29 points. And so the next season, Dallas was not even confident in signing Nichushkin to anything more than entry-level money. And so Valeri was pretty frustrated and would leave back to Russia. And we had no clue if he was ever even going to come back. Which I mean, is technically a complete bust to literally lose one of your players to Russia. And so 2 years later, Nichushkin would announce his return to North America. And with 2 years of extra development in the KHL, there was once again high hopes. Except, well, Nichushkin, who was that prototypical goal-scoring power forward, would fail to score a single goal in his 57-game return. As he put up 0 goals and 10 assists, was healthy scratched 16 times during the regular season, and was sitting in the stands for 12 out of the 13 playoff games. And because of this, Nichushkin would decide to leave for free agency, where he'd sign a 1-year, $850K deal with the Avalanche. And well, Nichushkin has not only rebounded, but he's molded himself into one of the best defensive forwards in the entire NHL. As he has 27 points in 65 games, and is analytically a top 10 Selke candidate. And so for someone who left to Russia as a near bust, came back and was healthy scratched 28 times, Nichushkin has evolved into an entirely different player. Next, we have Sean Couturier. Drafted 8th overall in 2011, Couturier was actually a pretty massive faller in his draft year. Because heading into his draft year, he was ranked 1st overall by many scouts, but fell in his draft because he didn't progress on the right trajectory. But regardless, Couturier would put up 96 points in his draft year and was showing all the signs of a potential two-way star. It was primed to be the next franchise piece for Philly, especially because he exemplified the playing style of Mike Richards. And Couturier would make the opening night roster, however, he was extremely underwhelming. Now, if you just look at his rookie season, I wouldn't call him a bust, but considering that he was a projected 1st overall pick and would put up only 27 points, well, it was nothing to run home about. In the next season, Couturier would actually regress, as he put up 15 points during the lockout season, and for the first 6 years of Sean Couturier's career, he'd just be okay. As he dealt with some injuries, and in his best season, he'd only put up 39 points. Now during this time, Couturier was doing the right things, as he was more focused on his own side of the ice, which negatively affected his offense. But this development decision proved to be the best thing in his career. Because finally, in 2017, he'd break out as a top two-way player in the entire league, as he went from a 30-point scorer to scoring 31 goals and 76 points, on top of maintaining his elite defensive game. In the past 3 seasons, Couturier has proved it wasn't a fluke, as he put up an astounding 76 points last year and had 59 points in 69 games this season. And Couturier's story is just the epitome of not writing off a player, as it took him 6 long years to break out into a star. And funny enough, you can say the exact same thing about Nolan Patrick. Same type of game, almost identical production, and the same upside as Couturier during his first couple seasons. Next, we have Martin St. Louis. And St. Louis has a bit different of a story, because due to size, St. Louis would be passed over for nearly a decade. Because even though he was dominating the NCAA with 49 points in his rookie season, not a single team would take a chance on St. Louis in the draft. And keep in mind, back then, the NHL literally had 11 rounds. So St. Louis would put on a clinic in the NCAA with 85 points in 35 games in his best season, which would ultimately only earn him a low-risk contract with the Calgary Flames. And considering that St. Louis was putting up record-breaking numbers, this deal had some serious upside. However, St. Louis would still have a rough ride, as he was cut from the AHL, played in the IHL, and when he finally got called up, he would dominate and just prove everyone wrong, going over a point per game in the AHL. And the next season we'd see a short 13-game stint where he'd only put up 2 points. So finally, in the year 2000, St. Louis would spend the majority of the year with the Flames. But he would put up a dismal 3 goals, 18 points in 53 games. And considering that he was hyped up as being that hidden gem signing, St. Louis was looking like a massive flop. So much so, the Flames would opt not to pursue him, and St. Louis would lead to free agency where he'd land in Tampa. And well, we all know the story. 40 points in his first season. 3 years later, he'd have an astounding 94, 2 Art Ross trophies, 2 Lady Byng, a Hart and Ted Lindsay Award, and of course, 1 Stanley Cup. And so St. Louis went from a quote-unquote massive bust in the NHL to a Hall of Famer. Next, we have Steven Stamkos, because believe it or not, Stamkos for the first half of his rookie season looked like a complete bust. Drafted first overall in the 2008 NHL draft, Stamkos was supposed to be the next franchise goal scorer in the NHL, as he put up an astounding 58 goals in 61 games during his draft year, as Stamkos had unmatched foot speed and an Ovechkin-type release. However, and I kid you not, Steven Stamkos would register 4 goals in his first 40 games. And considering his biggest asset was his shot, this production was just mind-boggling. And to give you a great comparison, Jack Hughes had 15 points in his first 40 NHL games on a team with far worse line mates. Well, Steven Stamkos had 13 points in his first 40 games. Now, what's even more crazy about Stamkos' story is he would have an extremely disappointing first half of his rookie season, but he would really recover, as he ended up scoring 19 goals and 30 points in the remaining 39 games. And of course, Stamkos would explode to the best goal scorer in the entire NHL, as he progressed to scoring 51, 45, and then finally 60 goals in the next 3 seasons, on top of winning 2 Maurice Richard trophies. Now, there was some debate on my first overall pick tier list video on where Stamkos should end up, but looking more into his career and the fact that he's well over a point per game and will most likely end up with anywhere between 600 and 700 NHL goals, which will put him in the round of Iginla and Joe Sakic, Stamkos will end up in the Hall of Fame. And we will end with Tyler Seguin, because in his draft year, it was of course the Tyler versus Taylor show. And it was not going to be a surprise by any means if Seguin was drafted first overall in 2010. And of course, he'd be drafted second overall by the Boston Bruins, and he was posed to be a franchise centerman who was being compared to Steven Stamkos and Steve Yzerman. And honestly, it's pretty ironic, because Seguin had the same pedigree as a Hughes or a Kakko, but in his rookie season, he put up 11 goals, 22 points in 74 games, which is even worse than Kakko and Hughes, who were being declared busts by many fans. But in Seguin's case, he wasn't. But why? Well, it's because he was on a winning team, and so the team's circumstances and him playing bottom 6 minutes were the reason. But for some reason, this same logic doesn't get applied to Kakko and Hughes. And so Seguin went from scoring 22 points in his rookie season to being a star scoring 67, and well, it was just up from there. As Seguin has been a consistent point per game scorer his entire career, which is a far stretch from 22 points. But anyways guys, those are 5 players that looked like massive busts, but proved everyone wrong. And has your team ever had a player who had a slow start to his career? Let me know, and go check out part 1 if you haven't already. And on a side note, my allergies were really bad in this video, so hopefully it didn't shine through too much. But anyways guys, thank you guys for the awesome support. We are so close to 19,000 subscribers. Just insane. But anyways guys, press subscribe for some more awesome hockey content. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you later.